So I select them, and look at that. This is the only thing I have left to fix. This is a polyline, and that's not a good option, really, for a break line, because what did I tell you about a polyline last week that's really important? Z is constant, right? You can't have a different elevation at anywhere along that polyline. That elevation, that Z value is the same every vertex. That's the difference between a 3D polyline, a polyline, and even a line. So I'm going to erase that. And I'm going to, 3P will draw a 3D polyline. 1, 2. Look at that. Now, this is what I told you. Did that connect to the right spot? Looks a little off, doesn't it? Is that where it should be? Does it look like? Yes, no? Right? You see over here, I connected to the bottom of that cross section, not the top. Blue line was down here. Use your 3D view and make sure. I'll turn this around really quick. And I'll show you the other side. But now when I look at that, you can see, again, here's the corridor. See that cross section? Remember I told you the cross section is laid every, again, you guys can't see it all. There you go. You see the cross section in here? Here's the curb. My blue line connected to the bottom of pavement because my pavement has a thickness. So I just want to show you, use your 3D view to make sure things are connecting. All right. Yeah.
So that was the crown line, right?
Yeah.
You just delete the 2D polyline and draw in the 3D polyline?
If you want, yeah. You can make a feature line too. You could draw a line even. But yeah, I just erased the polyline and made it a 3D polyline. And it connected automatically. All right, so this is the one where I told you where you got an issue because there's 3 vertices on this bottom curve line, right? We know the elevation here. We know the elevation here. We don't know it here, and this guy is still stuck down at 0. So what do we need to do? We need to smooth it out, right? And by smooth it out, I mean we need to get a constant slope from here to here. If I bring this down and I show you, when I select a feature line, again, this is your contextual ribbon. I previously showed you over here, this one, elevations from surface. Right now, what I want to do is use this set grade slope between points. And that will, in fact, take that feature line and smooth out that elevation that's run down to 0. Yeah.
So you inserted the future PIs that followed the crossing, and you also put one.
No, this was part of it, because it's not a perfect 90-degree angle, right? So over here, it's probably, actually my corridor was just short. But if you don't have a perfect 90-degree angle, you're not going to get the same curve lines, right? Because you have deflection, right? When you put that 25-foot radius. And that's why I told you, you got to find the one that's closest, which means that on one side, you're going to have a piece of tangent and a curve, and on the other side, you should have just a curve. And that's why that line is in there, because it's just an extension. Technically, if I move this up a little bit more, I wouldn't have it. And the curve alone react automatically, because it's only 2 points, not 3, right? But I want to show you, because you're gonna need this, again, you're gonna use this one a lot in your grading. Here's that bottom of curve. And again, there's the 3 endpoints. 1, up on the corridor. 2, still down at 0 where we draw our normal polylines. And this one came up to the existing ground. Set grade slope between points. It asks you for a start point, and then it asks you for an end point. Well, prompt for the elevation too. Can you guys see that as I hover and go to the end point, can you see the little green triangles lighting up?
Yeah.
If you don't see them, take your cursor, go back to the start, and do it again. All right, just literally just go back here. You see how they disappeared? And now I come back up. If you don't see them, you may be interpolating the grades in the opposite direction unwittingly, and really mess up things if you have stuff going the other way. So make sure you see the green triangles. There's my endpoint. I click it, and it knows the elevation, and it knows the length, and it computed the grade between here and here without using the 0. It's the constant slope. Length divided by delta Z, right? We hit enter, and then watch that polyline. Look, also the green is here. All right, so watch that feature line now. Once I hit enter, it came up, and I'll show you. There it is. And we just removed that vertex, that 0 elevation that was right here. Let's look at the other one. Here it is again, the same exact thing, the bottom of curve. On this side is the same exact thing, where we know the elevation here, we know the elevation here, but not here. Set feature grade. That's the set slope, same one. I select that feature line, and I select the start point, and I make sure, look at that, no green, right? No green. I know the bugs pretty well. I bring it back down, zoom in a little bit. Oh wait, that's because I didn't read, did I? Hit enter to confirm the elevation it found. And then I get my endpoint. There's the green. I click the end, it computed the grade. I hit return, boom, it fixed that one up. Okay. Now, we have this, I told you there was one more command. Now, I know the relationship between the bottom and top of curve, right? It's just a half a foot. Delta Z equals 0.5 units plus, or plus 0.5 units from BC. There was one more command up in the edit feature that was really important. And this one saves you a lot of time because you don't have to constantly redraw that top of curve. There's one called elevations from reference. Adjacent elevations by reference. It's right over here. Again, this is the edit elevations tab. This is the edit geometry tab. If I move this out of here, you can see it. But with this one, I can say, you know what? I know the elevations on the bottom of curve are good, and I want you to change the elevations on the top of the curve. And look at that command line. You can do it any way you want, either by a difference, which it's set to, or you can set a grade, again, percent, or a slope, or ratio, or you can just provide an elevation. But I'm going to go with a difference of 0.5, and there's my top of curve. And something is a little wacky here, right? This doesn't seem to be connected to my surface too well. So let's see if our grip edits work. And they don't. All right, I am going to try. Oh, I know why. I never adjusted those elevations, did I? On this one. I never changed those elevations. And I never assigned it the right elevation. Where do these elevations come from? The corridor. So again, back to our elevations from surface. And this time, instead of EG, I've got to use the right surface. If I'm not sure which one it is, I can use my selector and pick it in plan view. I hit OK. I select this guy, and there we go. That looks a lot better, right? At least for that one. Let me see if I can get that a little bit. But it messed up the bottom of curve, didn't it? Yeah. All right, but that's not a big deal. Again, the lump of clay, all those same tools that I just used, I can reuse. Set feature grade, number 1. Start here, enter. To confirm the elevation, click the endpoint, enter. Boom, that fixed up. I'm going to right click again. Adjacent features by reference. This is the one that's good, and this one I want to go up a half a foot. It remembers my settings from last time. There we go. Let's, again, right back to our right click. Set feature grade. I messed up this bottom of curve too. Hit enter, and that fixed up very nice. And then one more time with the adjacent curve, adjacent elevations by reference onto this top of curve. All right, and that's what we're looking for, just a smooth connection from this line to the end of our corridor, right? And think about what I'm constructing in the real world. This is what I said where the road has to be. This is where the existing road is. So I got to make sure as the design engineer that I'm tying them in correctly. All right. This is still a 3D polyline. You can put it into your surface as a break line, just as you can a feature line. But I'm going to make it a 3D polyline just so they're all, a feature line just to make, they're all the same. All right. Then what I told you to do is once you have these objects drafted, and hopefully that's only 9, I want you to put them into a surface. You can come over here and make a new surface, or you can right click if you have only feature line selected. I can click the plus button and make a brand new surface. Call it INT1. And I can put contours on it so I can see what it looks like. And I hit OK. And this is where I gave you guys a warning too. When you see the add break lines dialog, and your break lines have curves like these, your mid-ordinate distance is going to tell your surface how many triangles to put along that curve. Go with 0.01 for things closer than or a half a foot and smaller. I'm going to warn you, Civil 3D will default to 1. So you're going to want to change that. We hit OK. And there is my tin surface for the intersection. I type VS to bring up my visual styles. And again, now you can see the line I told you I skipped for detail, right? You see up in that corner where the corridor has a top inside face? It's just not necessary. If I was doing cross sections at a large scale where I had to see it, I might put it in. But for what I'm doing here, not worth it. All right, so there's one intersection.
Yes,
Yes.
sir. Can you go over again how you got the polylines included in your surface?
How I got the what?
Selected the polylines.
The feature lines? Okay. I selected one feature line. And I right-clicked and I went select similar. But you gotta be careful, because if I have two intersections, I'm gonna wind up putting, you know what I mean, more break lines in. So when you do this like similar, zoom out. If you're selecting stuff here and here, deselect them. One surface here, one surface here, and one surface here. Okay? Now, what time is it? Okay. Let's look at this here. Isn't this, even though this is all proposed, and the other one we did was existing and proposed, isn't it exactly the same? Right? Look. The line I'm tying into. The line I'm tying into. Get me a crown, bottom of curve, top of curve. The right of way we ignored in the last one. Just draw your daylight in. So this is the same thing. P line. 1, 2, P line. And here you might want to trace directly on every edge of the corridor. Oop, undo. Notice that cursor and my O-snap when I hover and move. And imagine what it would be doing if I had all of those different things. Right now it's got two choices. All right. So there's that, there's that. Quite honestly, I'm gonna need to do a polyline from here to here as well. My daylight, I can literally just connect them like that and it'll probably be all right. So now these are all my polylines. Edit, select similar. Now let me deselect this guy.
Did you tie in the bottom part of that?
What's that?
Or did you put a polyline at the very bottom?
Down here.
No, down.
This.
No, where by where the bottom curve is. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, you're right, down here. I need one. Yeah, I do. I want one from here to here. And now with those polylines, very good, very good. Now again, I want to keep a lot of stuff. So I'm just going to draw temporarily a polyline here, here. And I'm going to go trim. 1, 2, 3. And then I'm going to erase these guys. Now, if I spin this Oh wait, I do need one more, don't I? What else did I miss? The crown. This is where the apparent intersection comes in useful, because I have stuff at 0 and up at the elevation of the corridor there. Yeah.
How are you toggling like on and off from isolating the layer and then back to this view?
Isolating the layer? Okay. All right, ACAD 101, your quick access toolbar. I hate when I'm in my ribbon, actually I hate the ribbon quite honestly, but when I'm a keyboard commando and I want to type everything with one character, and I don't even look. I just go L and my thumb hits space. I go PL, my thumb hits space. I could do this blindfolded, literally, if I didn't need to see the display. Typing in commands. I can do probably 90% of my AutoCAD without a mouse. Just hand, line, polyline, arc, circle, explode, trim, extend, W block, match properties, break, all these things I do by hand, by keyboard commands. And my layer stuff, some of it I do keyboard, but a lot of it I do need a lot, all right? Because I constantly want to turn layers on, off, and I want control. And for that, I use my quick access toolbar, which is this right here. And if you click on any of the buttons up here, right click on them, well, one that you can see, you can remove. You can add separators in there too, and you can customize. But what's nifty is I can come down to any command in the ribbon and I can add it to the quick access. What I do up here, because I use my layer commands so often, and I hate when I'm in these things and I gotta come home and then come over here and find my layer and say, you know, is my layer command up there or down in here? What I do is I put my most common layer commands up here. And with that, I come in and one of the first things I do is make current. I right click, add to quick access. Layer off, right click, add to quick access. Layer freeze, add to quick access. Layer on all, add to quick access. Layer thaw all, add to quick access. I even add my layer drop down. As you see, because I have it right here, what I really like about it is I can change colors on the fly right here. Right? It knows I was on structure curve. Let's go find it. STC, it's down over here, curve. And I can click on the color and change it to be color, whatever color I want, up in that layer thing. I also add my isolate layer and my unisolate layer up in here, so that I have all my commonly used layer commands right up there, always at my fingertips. So when you see me isolate a layer, I'm clicking on this button right here. When I unisolate, I'm clicking on that, which is exactly the same as going into your layer ribbon. Okay. All right, so now let's look at these again. Does those polylines, doesn't that look just like the one we did up on top? Exactly the same. All right, so there's no difference. It seems, once you get this corridor through here, it's the same thing. Your tie-in, your daylight is broken into 2 points here, because, again, the corridors did this for you. Then you need your bottom of curve, top of curve, crown, bottom of curve, top of curve. All right, and you should be able to do this one exactly the same. Feature line, create feature line from object. I'm going to make a new site, because in my template it will put them onto a new layer.
And when I select similar, it'll limit. And I'm gonna say assign elevations, I'm gonna put them all down at 0 for now, and start with everything down at elevation 0. Ooh, what did I do? What step did I miss? Anyone know? What's that?
Not select all of them?
I did select all of them. But, you know what I missed?
Kind of intersection.
Yes, I did not add PIs to the intersections. Fear not, you can do it when they're feature lines too. Right, here it is. Your PI, insert PI button is still there. The only difference is you save time. When it's a feature line, you gotta hit enter one more time to confirm the elevation. When it's a polyline, it knows it can only have one elevation, so it doesn't prompt you for it. So you save yourself a little bit of time in one click for every spot. So there's all that, and then I got this one over here. And there's all my elevations I need. Or my PIs, I'm sorry.
Professor, when it's a polyline, is it the same as the guiding vertex?
Yep.
Down here?
Exactly the same. All right. So here are our feature lines. Let's get them into a different color so they stand out. And you can't see me, but I'm just clicking on the swatch in that drop down. I'm gonna make this color 6 is magenta, and they'll stand out. All right. Let's start here. I know these elevations, don't I? Where do they come from? The corridor. That was Fender Road. We can insert intermediate grade points if we want on this. There you go, enter. Ah, you know what? I got more to do on that. Elevations from surface, Fender Road. I'm getting this elevation from Fender Road too, right? And this elevation from Fender Road. Now, from Gibson Road, I need to get these elevations. And I told you, come in and just smooth those grades, because again, I have a little bit of a deflection there. And I used my set feature grades, and I started at one endpoint, confirmed the elevation, came down to the, ooh, that doesn't look good. So that one didn't fix up, but that's all right. Let's try the other one on the other side. 1, 2, that doesn't look too good either. What is going on here? I'm gonna bet we just have some feature lines overlapping. And we do. So if I delete that PI over here, you can see it's cheating a little bit. And if I just move this guy in, perpendicular, what do I need here? I just connected them. What does this not have? Oh, you didn't even see that connection, I'm sorry. But you see how the two lines are coming in? That's the curve. And if you notice up in here where that curve ended, I did not put in a PI right there. So I am going to add that PI on this. And there's also one on the other side. If your elevations are not going where you tell them to go, you more than likely do not have a point of intersection on that PI. Now, if I finish up, I want to do the same on the other side, because I apparently have, oh, that's what the problem is here. I'm going to delete this PI. And I'm gonna extend this one. This is bad geometry, right? I just drew that in poorly. And I'm gonna insert a PI again, oop, not there, but rather at the end of that curve. Now let's see if I fix up this guy, reassign the elevations from that corridor. Didn't quite bring everything up. Why is that? There we go. All right, so that is all the way up. And you can see how that 3D view really helps to identify if you're connecting to the right spots. With that, I can adjust those grades again on that bottom of curve. And look at this command line. Does that look right? Am I going to be driving on a 957% slope? No. You call me Rocket Man, you get me launching maybe, but that is telling you there's something wrong there. Check those elevations, that's all it means. And what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to drag this to a known point on the corridor, even if it's off slightly from my model. This is CE 494. Remember that we are not building from this plan. So let's look at that. Let's get those elevations back up to surface. And does my curb look a little wonky? Right, top and bottom of curb, right? Is that going to make a big deal in my design? No. Does that grade look a little bit more feasible? Yes. This is, you guys have heard magnitude checks, right?